One of my favorite Magic sets, and honestly blocks of all time, is Time Spiral block. The sweetness of Suspend, the willingness to push designs into places it had never really been before, and the overwhelming nostalgia cemented it as one of my all-time favorite points in Magic history. Well, Wizards is looking to one-up that and then some with their latest set, Modern Horizons 3. Following in the powerful footsteps of its older siblings, Modern Horizons 1 and 2. This set is dripping with throwbacks through all of time, and the power level is sure to leave an impact on the eponymous Modern, as well as Pauper, Legacy, Vintage, and of course, Commander. With so many cards to pour through, I thought I'd share what I'm personally planning on putting in my current Commander decks and why, in the hopes that it might inspire your own EDH decks. Starting with a simple stacked little combat trick, Gift of the Viper. This loaded 1-mana instant will slot nicely into my Legolas Master Archer deck as a way to cheaply give +1/+1 counters and Death Touch, as sometimes Legolas needs to shoot really big creatures with his bow. The deck is also filled with quite a few untap effects, so this can run double duty sometimes, giving you a burst of mana untapping something like Priest of Titania. Next up are a pair of adorable cards for Lightpaw's Emperor's Voice, starting with Dog Umbra. To be fair, basically any cheaply costed creature aura with Flash is a potential Lightpaw's candidate, but this one is pretty neat. Not only is it a little bit of protection for Lightpaws via the Umbra armor, but you can actually use the pacifism side too. One of the quirks of Lightpaw's ability is that the cast trigger doesn't care what you enchanted originally, just that what you tutor for attaches itself to Lightpaws. So if you need to pacifism in a pinch, you can still tutor Daybreak Coronet onto your commander. Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor, on the other hand, is a powerhouse aura support card. Your whole plan is to stack auras onto your commander anyway, and reducing costs via affinity doesn't mean you can't search for big auras, it just makes casting the initial one cheaper. Couple that with a very solid draw engine that turns on almost instantly in this deck, and you too can live the dream of casting Eldrazi Conscription for 0. This card rules. Now for one of the more generally talked about cards from the set that's slotting into my Kadira Caller of the Small deck, it's the appropriately pint-sized Ocelot's Pride. Not much to talk about here, honestly. This is a powerful token support card going into a green-white tokens deck that's full of rabbits, squirrels, and cats. The deck is nicknamed Kadira Cutestorm for a reason. Maybe my favorite design in the whole set, and one heck of a throwback, it's time for Chthonian Nightmare, based on the classic Recurring Nightmare. This one is slotting into Rograk Rayhan, basically because I just wanted another recursion card, and this deck also cares about sacrificing its creatures for value. This is far from the most powerful thing you can do with this card, and I'm excited to see how far people can push this one. But for Rogray, it's just a simple value piece. Wither and Bloom, I'm looking out for the same deck, and for similar reasons. This is basically a nameless inversion with Scavenge, and that's weirdly perfect for this deck. I love cards that let you squeeze out max value from them for your specific deck, and this fits into that category beautifully. This next one is a sweet removal spell that looks a lot like Utter End, Abstruse Appropriation. This is honestly an option for a lot of decks in these colors, but for me, it's going in Queen Marchesa because it's sweet. That's it. That's the reasoning. One cool thing you might have missed on first glance is that this card having Devoid means this actually gets around protection from colors, so no more sort of blah 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 ruining your day when you're trying to take out a critical permanent. Urza's Cave might just be the commander avocado of the set, i.e. it's good on everything. But for me, both Orva and Omnath like the look of this especially. Omnath because it's a lands deck and finding lands is good. Orva actually because you're pretty consistently trying to find either Urza's Workshop or Cloudpost in that deck to help with your mana generation, and this is an easy slot in for the deck. Also, the new Locust Land Trench Post looks nice in this deck as well. I'm curious exactly how many decks end up with Urza's Cave because the effect is very powerful, but the cost is not nothing. Some people seem unhappy with a tutor that so easily finds Field of the Dead, but to me I think that's more Field of the Dead's problem than this card's. Omnath is also eyeing the MH3 commander card Copy Land because it likes to copy lands. It wants to copy Valakut. That's the whole deck. Now for how far we are through the video, there is a disturbingly low amount of blue cards for me, and to be honest, I think that's because most of my blue decks either don't want cards from this set or are currently under construction. My Azami Lady of Scrolls list might want Flare of Denial, but I'm not even sure it needs the uptick in power level. The card is cool and all, but strangely, my mono blue deck doesn't need another counterspell when all I want to do is tap my wizards to draw cards. In general though, this cycle is really sweet looking, but I'm currently not sure how best to utilize the power of these cards or if I'll really want to, but they are worth noting in case you do because free spells are always worth taking a look at. And for what should be no surprise to anyone who watches my Bloom Burrow Brew videos, it's time for an MDFC check, as there is a suite of new double-phase land spells in Modern Horizons 3. Not only are these my favorite thing from the whole set, and many of them are sure to be staples across a huge number of decks, I actually do need these for my Taiwakin deck that has Zerda as its companion. Why? Because all this deck wants to do is activate Goblin Charbelcher as many times as possible, and the the fewer lands you have, the better belching you can bring to the table. Because of the Zerda companion restriction, I'm limited to only adding Razorgrass Ambush, Sundering Eruption, and Legion Leadership to the deck, and I really wish I could add more. These aren't the best spells ever, but that's okay, because all I want to do is lower the deck's virtual land count. And that's it! This set is really sweet, and I'm interested to see what commanders or archetypes might get a boost across all Magic formats, once the community has had a little bit more time with these cards. Until next time, let me know what new cards you're putting in your decks by sounding off in the comments below. And if you want to see all of my decks that I mentioned in this video, you can find those lists linked in the description. I hope this video helps inspire your newest brew. Oh, quick reminder, you're awesome. Subscribe.